guys, welcome to Baking and Books. My name is Lexi and I'm an amateur baker who loves to read. So each week I post videos of myself attempting to bake something new while also talking about a book that I have recently read or just really love. Today I'm going to be making a Victoria sandwich cake, which is a very traditional British tea cake. And it's basically just seems like cake with some jam in the middle, but it sounds really good, so I'm excited to try it. We're also going to be talking about This Is Where It Ends. And I have to apologize in advance because I know that I'm going to butcher this author's name. Marieke Nijamp is what it looks like to me. So I apologize. Please correct me in the comments if you know how to pronounce her name. But we're going to be doing this book today. Now, I do have to start with a trigger warning. This is about a school shooting. So if that is not where you are today, that is totally fine. Maybe you're never going to be there and you just don't see this episode. That's okay. I promise I'm not offended. Do what's best for you. But this is a book about a school shooting. So it is going to be a little bit darker compared to, well, actually, honestly, quite a bit darker compared to most of the stuff that we talk about. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, apron first this time. I'm going to remember right off the bat. Okay, I'm not really sure why we're doing parchment paper, spray, and a little bit of flour, but I'm not going to mess with the ingredients or instructions on this because it seems like a bad idea. My biggest thing about parchment paper is sometimes it just feels like you waste so much. Like trying to get it cut to the right fit. You know what they should do? They should have different shapes of parchment paper. Not just like rectangle, but, you know, round and things like that, too. That's what I think. That's your hot take for the day. You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to start off with the synopsis. So this book is basically taking place in about, I believe it's like 45 minutes that a shooting is taking place at the school. And so the story is told from a handful of different points of view of different teenagers around the school. So it'll basically give you like a set number of minutes, you know, like 10:03 to 10:06 or whatever. And then it hits everybody's different viewpoints of what's going on in those 3 minutes with those characters. So it's different points of view, different characters, different people that are, you know, either related to each other or somehow related to the actual shooter. So it's pretty heavy. Like I said, just because I feel like I cannot say this enough, I mean, trigger warning, this is about a school shooting, and it's very dark. Even in some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, maybe a little bit lighter, but I mean, the story itself is not. So just please walk away if you need to. And so basically you're going from when the shooting starts, or when, you know, when the whole thing is really starting, until it ends, essentially. And then you're kind of getting a little bit of like a prologue as well. So that's pretty much it. I mean, you can't really go too much deeper without going deep into the story. So from here on out, I will go deeper. So if you don't want things spoiled for you, then go ahead and skip forward until it says no more spoilers, and you can see how our cake turned out. But if you generally don't care, then stay with me and we'll get deeper into it. Okay, I am having to use my mixer, so hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. I don't think it has to be up super high, so I'm not majorly worried about it right now. Okay, I have to beat my eggs now, so I gotta put them all in here. So, you know, the first thing that really caught my attention was honestly just the way that it's written. I think it's a really clever way to write the story, because not just that it's jumping back and forth from different viewpoints, because a lot of stories do that, but the fact that it's written in the time increments, I think is actually really smart. Like, there's just something about that that's really clever to me, because I think it made everything a lot more, I'm not sure what that word I'm looking for is. I guess, like, maybe what I'm trying to say is it made the situation feel a lot more real, because you were looking at things from a minute by minute almost point of view. You know, like, I don't think there were ever more than 4 or 5 minutes at a time. So everything felt so slow, and you just felt that sense of urgency. And I think when you have a book like this that's, I mean, really based on urgency, you know, it's based on the fact that these kids are in a really terrible situation, or, well, kids and teachers are in a really terrible situation, and they are trying to get out, trying to stay alive, and so that sense of urgency is really important. So I think that it's definitely, the time on it, the timestamp on it, and the views from different characters definitely made it more urgent. I'm trying to decide if I should switch utensils. I thought this is what it kind of needed, but I feel like it's not getting the light and fluffy that it's supposed to, so I might switch over to the whisk attachment. The thing is, you know, a couple of these characters are very, like, relatable high school, in my opinion. A little too aggressive there. They're very into, you know, that high school mindset, like, especially when they talk about not telling each other things. You know, like, not necessarily lying, but hiding stuff from each other, almost as if to spare the other person, and that's a very high school teenage mindset, and that honestly a lot of people continue into their adulthood, and it's just one of those things that's like, you know, that never helps you. Hiding stuff in your relationship, even if you think it's for the other person's benefit, never is going to help you. You know, the first thing that really, like, made me sick to my stomach was the reporters trying to get in touch with, like, students at the school, or students even not at the school, just, like, in general, trying to get in touch with the students. Like, that's so disgusting. I mean, I'm not saying that all reporters are like that, like, I'm not trying to come at reporters, but I just do think that there's a time and a place, and in the middle of a tragedy is not that time or place. The thing that really got me too was, like, how good this author was at just bringing those feelings of grief and death to life. Like, it just, you know, knowing these were fictional characters should have helped, I felt like, you know, helped with some of the grief that was going on in the story, not becoming so real and heavy. But it was really real and heavy, because you know stuff like this happens, unfortunately, all the time. And, you know, I guess I'll pause there real quick to say, like, if you just rolled your eyes because you're like, oh my gosh, it's not all the time. It's way more often than it should be. And if you don't think that, I don't know how to help you. Like, those are children, and there shouldn't be school shootings. There needs to be something we can do. And so, you know, what's difficult is knowing that teenagers and middle schoolers and even just people in shopping malls go through stuff like this all the time. And sometimes it just feels like, you know, what can we possibly do? But, you know, there does need to be something, and there's so much going on in the world, and so much hate and evil, and it's unnecessary, and we need to put our focus into being there for our fellow humans, and not so much focus on what I want, what I need. I'm not looking to start trouble. I'm just saying that, like, this is a really difficult topic for a lot of people, because a lot of people over the world have experienced this sort of fear, and, you know, it's terrifying. And I think a lot of people will never understand the fear unless it happens to them. And the thing is, you don't want it to happen to them, but something shouldn't have to happen to you for it to affect you, and for you to be able to want it fixed. And I think the author just does such a nice job of bringing those feelings to life. Seems like an odd place to stop, but it does taste really good so far. So that's good. But she just does a really nice job of helping to, you know, make you feel those feelings. As heartbreaking and as scary as they are, she just does such a nice job at that. And I think that takes a lot of skill, because I think something like this can become easily too much too quick. And so I really appreciated how she was able to really dive into the story and get those feelings of, you know, nerves and scaredness and death and all of those things to just come to the surface and be just so well done and so well talked about. Okay. It's definitely good. Alright, now it's time for our 2 pans, there's another one over there, to go in the oven. Okay, our cakes came out of the oven and they are cooling, so now we're going to make the cream that goes in the middle. Okay, well, it doesn't say how much, so we're just going to pour the rest of this in here and be done. Oh yeah, that's a fun sound. I love that. I think the thing that I did really enjoy too about this story and about this author and the way that it was done was just that it felt very honest in, you know, what the characters went through and how they survived or didn't survive. You know, the characters that lived versus the characters who died. And I kind of felt like, you know, I'm very, very lucky. I've never been in that kind of situation. But from an outsider's point of view, it felt very real. Like, it felt like, okay, you know that this is a really horrible, tragic thing, and not everybody is going to survive. So you know that you're going to have to, you know, something is going to have to give, and you know that people do die. I mean, that's the tragedy of those situations, and the people who are left behind, you know, their stories are forever changed. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work because I'm realizing that this is half and half and not heavy whipping cream. So I'm not sure that this is going to work. I feel like I could whip this forever and it would not be able to support. The good news is that the last time I had to make like a whipped topping, I had a ton left over, so I kept it, and now I will defrost it and use that instead. I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. So remember when I was like, I'm not going to go off the rails with this recipe because it seems like it's really finicky and I don't want to try that? Yeah, girl, me too. You know, the thing is, it's just like at the end of the day, sometimes we just have to make it work. And that's what we're doing today. It's just making it work. I don't think this is going to end up being as pretty as I want it to be because it was very difficult to get the cakes in a nice round shape when you're pouring them into a tin filled with parchment paper. But hopefully that means they're pretty easy to get out of there and we'll be okay as far as the rest of the decorating process. If you left because of spoilers, go ahead and come back and join us. Our cakes went in the oven and now they are cooling. And I am defrosting our whipped topping from the last time I had to make it. I realized that I had half and half and not whipping cream, which I thought that I had in the fridge. So I'm kind of having to go off the rails a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. I think we'll manage what we want to manage from it. I'm going to go ahead and put our jam into a bowl because I feel like it'll be a lot easier to spread, like pick it up and spread it over the cake if it's in a bowl rather than in its little glass container here. But I am going to keep the container because if we don't end up using all of it, then I can just pour it back in here. But I think that'll be a lot easier because when I'm ready to scoop it into the cake, I can just scoop it from here and it'll be nice and, like, I don't know, I think it'll just be nicer and easier to layer rather than trying to get it out of its glass jar. Okay, I think we're almost ready to stack. The recipe says that you want to make sure your cakes are completely cool before you take them out. And of course, I'm still trying to defrost my icing a little bit, or my cream, but hopefully that'll work. So I don't think it's going to taste exactly like a Victoria sandwich is supposed to. Obviously, I've never had one, but I don't think it's going to because I think, you know, with this recipe, it's really just whipping cream. Like, I don't think you put any sort of sugar or anything else in there. And of course, with this whipped topping that I had already made, I think we put a little bit of sugar and some vanilla in there, so it is probably going to be a little bit different. But now I know that I need to double check the difference between the half and half and the whipping cream before I buy them next time. Okay, I think we've got about our cream here, so that's good. So once the cakes are ready, then we are good to go. This doesn't taste super sweet though, so I think that's probably a good thing. Like, it doesn't taste like we added a bunch of extra, like, sugar and vanilla, so hopefully that's a good thing, and hopefully it'll help it with, like, the rest of the recipe. Okay, well, our first piece came out nicely. Look at that beautiful golden color. Ooh, almost lost it. Okay, it's still a little warm, so I think I'm going to give it a little bit more time outside of the pan because I don't want everything to just, like, slip right off. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. So, jelly first. I mean, I'm pretty sure you just, like, put all the jelly on here. Or jam, whatever. Because, like, there's only 2 halves, so I'm just gonna be liberal with it and just plop that sucker on there. This is probably gonna squish out the sides, I can already tell. But you know what? That's okay. Because before, when I've been doing things that involve other things going in the middle, like other types of cakes, I have before not put as much just because I don't want to waste it when there's layers or whatever. and then I regret it later. So we're just gonna put the whole container in here and be like, boom, done with that. So I guess I don't need you anymore, glass jar. Okay, then we have to put the topping on it, which is also gonna be easier with a spoon. And I don't really know how much of this to use, but again, I think I'm just gonna be liberal with it. Oh, this is definitely gonna run off the side. Well, you know what? This one may not get points for presentation. You know, that's just the way that it is. Just might not. Ooh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use the rest of this for the top. Okay, let's get the other one out.
Right on top. Oh yeah.
Could you see that? It just like all of it just spoofed out the sides. Okay. Honestly, at this point now I'm just having a good time. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some more on top here. Maybe I used too much. We'll never know. Let's just drown it at this point. Like, let's just drown it. Because I don't want to refreeze this whip top. Oh, no, it's like... Okay, the top is trying to escape. No, you can't. You can't escape. Okay, wait. Stay. Okay, there we go. I figured it out. Okay. Oh, this is a mess. I love it already. It's just, oh my god, it's amazing. Now I'm supposed to put powdered sugar on this too. Oh yeah, let's just soak it in. Oh my god, if you are British, I'm so sorry right now. Okay, so we're gonna get another spoon and just sort of siphon some of this off. You know, I said I was sorry, but the truth is that I'm not. Because sometimes you just gotta have fun. And it's okay, you know? It's okay. Promise I'm not offending your culture. I'm just not always the most put together baker. You would not catch me on Bake Off, that's for sure. Now, we're just scooping some of this away because we don't need all that. I mean, our plate's a mess. We can't save the look of the plate. But I think now we put powdered sugar on it. Okay, here we go. I'm afraid to take the stick out because I think the stick is the only thing keeping the top half from sliding off. I'm gonna bring it to you so you can see it, but I'm gonna try to do it really carefully because I'm really concerned about it. Okay, so there you go. It's trying. You know, let's just cut her open and see what happens. Okay, actually, on the inside, it's not bad. So there's our piece of cake on the inside. You can see we used plenty of raspberry that ended up just spilling out the sides. But honestly, it could be a lot worse. I tasted everything along the way and it tasted really good, so just like fingers crossed that it tastes good by itself, or all together. That was pretty good. It's not quite too sweet. I can understand why it's kind of a tea time snack, because it's not super sweet. Kind of like a little bit sweet and a little bit just sort of like that nice cake texture. I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10. I think we did really well on the flavors. Like, I think the flavors came out really well. Even using the whipped icing that I already had instead of making it the way the recipe wanted me to, I think it tastes really good overall. I think the cake is really good, and I really like the flavor of it. I definitely think this is something that, you know, you would cut yourself a small slice of with tea for sure. Or just like a, you know, an after dinner thing. It's not super heavy and it's not super rich, so I really like the taste of it. However, I think we have to take off 4 points straight off, because look at this. This is a mess. I mean, this is just bad. It's just bad. I think it's a combination of things. I probably didn't wait long enough for both of the layers to cool, which is classic me. I'm really terrible at my patience. I even put one of the layers in the fridge. Like, I just was like, let's go. Some days I'm better at patience, but I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit later in the evening. I'm ready to just have my dinner and move on with my night. Not that I don't love hanging with you guys, but I was like, let's go. Let's get this rolling. So I think I didn't wait as long, and maybe I did put too much in the middle. Like, maybe I put too much raspberry jam and the whipped cream, or the, like, creamy topping. Maybe I put too much of that in the middle, and so just like when the top part sat on it, it wanted to go anywhere. Like, I can't take this out, because if I take this out, then the top layer is just gonna slide off. So lesson learned that I probably shouldn't have put as much. Need to find a balance of putting too little and too much. So the next step will be a balance. So I think that's why we're gonna go with a 6 out of 10 on this one. Although I do recommend this recipe because it was fairly easy and it was absolutely delicious. I would give this book a 5 out of 5. You have to go into it knowing what you're getting into. Remember, it's about a school shooting, and if you don't think you can handle that, don't be ashamed, but don't walk into it, because it does get very deep and very dark, and there were parts of it that were very difficult to read. So just know that going into it. But I did really like this book. The writer was very skilled at making the characters come to life and bringing the story and the feelings of the story right off the page. I mean, I thought she did a really nice job of having this story be, going from point A to point B. So I recommend this book. If you think you can handle it, I definitely recommend this book. If you have other baking or book recommendations that you want to throw at me, then please do. I'm always here for constructive criticism, as well as any recipes you might want me to try, or any book recommendations that you have for me. If you had fun today, please like and subscribe. I try to be here for you every week, and I am always a little bit of a hot mess and a little bit of fun. And usually things turn out edible, so that's pretty cool. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. That's typically where I post what I'm currently reading, if you want to keep up with my journey, and feel free to follow me on other social media as well. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and I will see you next time.